Hey guys, and welcome to the patch notes for the 30th of May 2018 patch in Black Desert. So this patch brings us 3 big changes. The first is Lahn gets her absolute skills. Lots and lots of class changes. Every class has had a few crowd control abilities adjusted, they've gained some, a few have been lost. Lots of class changes. And finally, changes to how the world boss system works, as well as to how PvP works during world boss timer windows. So let's dive right in. So to start off with, Lahn has had her absolute skills released and a Lauren family gift event has started. So during the event, get Lauren family coin, 10 per hour, through the challenge window. You get up to 50 per day, and you can exchange them for Lauren family gift boxes, which contain blue accessories, as well as gold accessories and other really nice items. The Valencia Huntathon event has started, so defeat Giant Mountain Goat, Giant Lioness, and Giant Lion with matchlocks during the event, and get great rewards as trophies. So these are the rewards: spellbound tools, extra life experience scrolls, and elixir flowing times are guaranteed. 100 participants will win high quality drought box and cron meals. 30 will win a frosted matchlock, blue grade. 10 will win a 20-day value pack. And the rewards will be given out on the 13th of June after the maintenance. So in 2 weeks. Also, due to all the recent balance changes, everyone is being mailed a Armstrong skill guide and a Cliff skill add-on guide to all adventurers who had a character created before the 30th of May maintenance, so this maintenance. This is kind of to let people that have been messing around with skills continue to change their skills as more balance patches are rolled out. Claim it for June 23rd, so you've got pretty much 4 weeks to claim it. Bunch of ongoing events. So, content. Lahn has gained absolute skills. There are new monsters for the hunting event that have been added. Fix the issue where hiding under characters function was activated abnormally at times during the Node and Conquest Wars. Fix the issue where guild members did not auto-teleport to the fort of their guild upon the start of the Node War. And only guild members in that Node War will be teleported. Guild members are located in safe zones or areas exclusive to the Node War are not teleported. They've also done some optimization work and fixed a few issues. So, the big change that will affect everyone, as the Lahn absolute skills only kind of affect people playing Lahn, is the class changes. So there's a bunch of stuff that applies to every class, and then each class had a large amount of adjustments. So we'll start with the all classes. If a character has negative karma and gets killed by a monster, that character's experience will decrease by 2%. For awakening skills with counter features, defense feature effects have been reapplied, and crowd control skill effects will not be applied in PvP. Super armor defense effect has been added to skills that can be performed upon entry into combat. So initiation. So this way, engaging into battle with other guilds or other players will be much more possible, as you don't have to worry about being crowd controlled out of your sort of engagement skills. Flow skills that are performed in combos after the preceding skills will now maintain the defense effect of the preceding skill. However, if it's a flow skill that can be used without having to use its initial move first, the defense effect will only be applied as normal skills are. So it won't keep its defense effect necessarily if you don't have to cast a skill to get into the flow. Crowd control effect have been removed from skills that have defense effects only in PvE. However, the witch and wizard classes will keep one skill of each element type, fire, earth, and water, that gets to have a crowd control effect and a defense effect at the same time in consideration to the skills and skill motions characteristics in their awakening mode. So, like I said, there's a lot of changes for each character. I'm not going to go through all of them. The general consensus so far is that Valkyrie is slightly improved and Musa got wrecked. Those are the general consensus that I've seen so far. But yeah, there's a lot of changes. I'll just kind of scroll down and you can stop on your own class if you want. A lot of text this week. Most of it, though, is in these class changes. There's not too many other big changes, except for the one I'm about to cover, which covers world bosses and PvP. And specifically PvP during the time that world bosses spawn. 16 classes in BDO, that's a lot of text to go through. Lahn gets her absolutes, so Moon Dance, Moon Slash, Pendulum Kick, Crescent Barrage, Soul Ascent, Blooming Netherflower, Braided Ghost, Cymbidium, 3-point Stipple, Deadly Restraint, Coax, Sulphury Purge, Fragrant Stigma, Furious Chase, Blade Dance, Eye of the Phoenix, Pendulum Cleaver, Dismemberment, Catasetum, Wind Orchid, Sacred Dance, Spring Breeze, and Ethereal Dance. So you'll need to be at least level 56 to learn these, all the way up to 60 for the biggest ones, I believe. But this should make grinding on Lahn much more bearable until we get her Awakening. So I'll probably use this to hit 58 on my Lahn. Super Armor Effect will now also be applied when consuming 100% of Blacksmith's Rage to the skill Pendulum Kick for Lahn, and a few other small fixes. A few maximum price adjustments, but the big thing is this. World bosses will now spawn following the timetable below, and once a world boss is spawned, PvP will be disabled for 15 minutes. Because adventurers had to wait a long time for randomly spawning bosses, the fixed time schedule and PvP prevention are set to alleviate such problems and also rid of unnecessary time wasted and harm done amongst players combating each other during a boss spawn. All in all, this will help improve server delays. So the following world bosses will now spawn properly in the schedule below. So for NA, this is the schedule. For EU, this is the schedule. There's a few other changes that I'll note here before I discuss the changes. Zarka, Karanda, Kutum, Nuver, and Offen will spawn in all servers except Arsha and Alvia servers. Quint and Morocco will also spawn in all servers compared to the previous 20 random servers before. Vel will spawn in the 10 fixed servers, so Balanos, Serendia, Caltheon, Valencia, and Medea, 4 and 5. And world bosses will now despawn naturally after 15 minutes since their appearance, even when engaged in battle. As a reward loot for the pure action of engaging in combat, loot will be given to everyone. However, they are going to double loot for world bosses that were defeated. This is problematic though, because, not problematic, this is kind of to make up for the fact that you can now no longer channel hop, so server change, for 15 minutes after a world boss spawns. So until the world boss despawns, you can no longer channel hop and you can no longer PvP. So dual force PvP guild wars will not be progressed during this period, and damage will not be inflicted on other adventurers. Players will not be able to inflict hits in the guild wars under progress. Team battle and final battle will not be registerable 30 minutes before and 15 minutes after a world boss spawn. Adventurers in duels will automatically be released from combat, and only the red battlefield and arena of Arsha will be exclusively allowing PvP regardless of the world boss spawn. So this means if you go to the battle arena and you're trying to fight there and the world boss spawns, no PvP. You also can't swap servers during a world boss, so if you need to help your guild out with a guild quest or something and a world boss is about to spawn, make sure you switch servers when you can. The times are in PDT 11, 7, 1, 5, and 9 o'clock. So 11 o'clock at night, 7 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m., and 9 p.m. For EU, it's 1 a.m., 9 a.m., 4 p.m., 7 p.m., and 11 p.m. And the bosses that spawn are different based on the day. So these are some pretty big changes. Reward loot will be given to all adventurers who have participated in defeating the following world bosses: Zarka, Nuver, Karanda, Kutum, Morocco, and Quint. Participants with a contribution that fall in the low 10% rank in defeating world bosses will not be able to acquire the following items from the world bosses, so the sealed weapon boxes. Reward loot will be obtainable for world bosses even when these world bosses despawn naturally. However, only the adventurers who have inflicted a certain amount of damage will be able to obtain the items. And the chance to obtain rare loot items for defeating world bosses has doubled. So the chance to obtain a box if you defeat the boss has been doubled, but if you don't defeat the boss, you still get loot. It's just the same as normal loot. However, you can no longer server swap to kind of run a train on the bosses, so you can't start in Velia 1 and then go to various other bosses. You're only going to be able to fight one boss when it spawns. So make sure that you're in a server, before the boss spawns, make sure you're in a server that you know is going to clear the boss, as you cannot switch to another server that is going to clear the boss if you see yours is not going to, in order to get that double chance at a box. So it's a pretty big change. It's really good for anyone that didn't want to have to keep track of when a world boss was spawning, didn't like the random nature of it, and didn't like having to constantly server hop. However, it is problematic for people that kind of, if they work during the times for the bosses they need, for example, if they work during the times Coranda's up, or they have certain appointments, or they can't get online for any reason whatsoever, they are no longer going to be able to get bosses on certain days, maybe every day if they're unlucky with a certain boss's spawn time. So it's definitely an improvement over the previous system. However, the PvP being disabled in the entire world for 15 minutes is a pretty huge change, and that we'll see if that's a good or bad change. I'm inclined to think it's kind of a bad change. They should have just made the world bosses kind of like safe zones where combat was disabled among other adventurers, but it remains to be seen how that change will affect the game. Apart from that, there's not too many other big changes this week. There's a lot of other changes to the world bosses themselves. Quint and Morocca are both much better world bosses to fight now than they were before, especially Quint, who has had his mutant enhancer drop from 1 to 5 to 7 to 20 pieces. But there's not too many other big changes this week. Of course, that is kind of discounting the fact that there's been a lot of big changes this week. Every class got some pretty big balance changes. Like, that's a lot of text for each class. Lahn's getting her absolute skills. The Lauren family event is starting again. And, of course, the world boss changes. So, those are the patch notes for the 30th of May, 2018. Comment below what you think of them. Are the PvP, is disabling PvP and server hopping too much for world bosses? Or do you think that this will help the game by making world bosses a more stable and constant part of the game, rather than a opportunistic swapping to your boss ult when they spawn? Also, let me know what you think of Lahn's absolute skills and the changes to your class in the comments below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you liked it, and have a good one.